Hi everyone, welcome to the fourth webinar conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming management case study examinations happening in November 2023. My name is Nick and I'm the lead tutor. I'm one of the lead tutors and evaluators for MCS at TCS. So let's look at what's covered within this session. So first things first, as I've promised earlier, I will be taking you through the examiner's comments because it's of utmost importance that you understand what is expected from you, because if you really understand the mindset of the examiner, then you are in a position to come up with uh, answers which fulfill the exact requirements as highlighted by the examiner. And in the second part of today's webinar, I will be talking about what you need to do to develop confidence. As you know, you have something like 3 weeks at your disposal until your exam. So within these 3 weeks, you have to be extremely serious about what you do. Whenever you are engaged with preparations, negativity might set in. You might face issues at work which will prevent you from engaging with allocating the necessary amount of time for preparations. So in the upcoming 3 weeks, it's extremely beneficial if you have a positive mindset, or if you generate or develop a greater level of open-mindedness. So with the intention of ensuring that you achieve these things, I will be highlighting certain hints which will help you improve your confidence in the upcoming 3 weeks. So let me quickly remind you about the MCS webinars and workshops which we have scheduled for this session. So we are already done with 3 webinars. So if you missed out any of them, please go watch the recorded versions which can be found via our website, especially the second webinar as well as the third webinar. What was highlighted within the third webinar is extremely crucial because you need to have an understanding about answering and time management techniques, without which you are not in a position to develop high quality answers which are aligned with what is requested from you. You'd understand what I'm talking about when I take you through examiner's comments in today's session. And I hope you'd make full utility of the upcoming Q&A sessions as well. So the first Q&A session is happening on Friday, the 20th of October. So by this time, you should be at least done with 3 mock exams. And if that is the case, whilst you'd have certain questions, and whilst attempting mock exams, so after attempting a mock exam or after watching the master classes, if you have any doubts, please make sure to jot them down so that you can raise them at the upcoming workshop. And just days before your final examination, I will be conducting another workshop, the final workshop, where I will also provide hints pertaining to what you need to do to maintain a high level of confidence at your examination. There's absolutely no point of having a positive mindset in the upcoming 3 weeks if you face a lot of stress on the day of the exam. So I will provide you with some tips to overcome exam stress, especially because closer to the exam, you try to do everything under the sun. That is not necessary. Simply stick to our study plan, and you can reach out to us whenever you need personalized guidance. All right, so let's look at what our examiner is telling us. So if you have to develop good answers, you need to make sure that you come up with answers which are relevant to the requirement. So I highlighted how to do this in the third webinar. I said, with the intention of understanding or fully understanding what the requirement is, or clearly understanding the requirement highlighted under each and every subtask. It's better to reiterate the requirement in your own words in a concise form, so that you are in a position to easily understand and constantly keep reminding yourself about what you are supposed to cover within your answer. Just because you provide lengthy answers which consists of highly theoretical elements, or just because you provide answers which are not aligned with the requirement, you are not going to get marks. Instead, I highlighted these points in the third webinar as well. Instead, before developing an answer plan, your first step should be towards reiterating the requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So if you do, then you will fulfill the first requirement which is needed towards developing a good answer. And when developing answers, you need to show to the examiner that you possess an appropriate level of technical knowledge. Just because you know your theory won't help you. Instead, you have to go a step further and ensure that the technical knowledge which you have learned via the E2, P2, and F2 syllabi are applied, considering the information provided in the scenario and what the type of information which appeared within the pre-seen document. So I highlighted all these things in the previous webinar as well, the third one. So you are playing the role of a finance manager who is reporting to the senior finance manager. So as a finance manager, when developing answers, there's absolutely no point of mentioning theoretical or conceptual frameworks within your answer, because that's not what your SFM wants. The SFM, whenever faced with a business opportunity or a business problem, will ask for your opinion and recommendations. So as I've told you earlier, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life corporate environment, so for instance, when you're working at office, when your senior finance manager or one of your superiors asks for your opinion or recommendations, you will never mention highly theoretical answers, or you will never provide information about conceptual frameworks. So that is exactly what's expected at your exam as well. So in order to come up with high quality answers, you need to know your theory. However, just because you know your theory, you cannot pass. Instead, you need to have an understanding about how to apply these theories, considering the information which is presented within the scenario, as well as the information which appeared within your pre-seen document. So in order to understand how to do these things appropriately, I want you guys to refer to the answer plans which we have developed based on all 5 mocks. And on top of that, refer to the master classes as well, because if you do, then you'd learn theory and at the same time understand how to apply this theory or the theoretical knowledge in a concise and precise manner, so that you end up coming up with high quality answers. And you need to structure your answers appropriately. So when it comes to structuring your answers, the best method to utilize is the answering technique which we discussed in our previous webinar. So rather than reading the question and typing the fully fledged answer straight away, I've asked you guys to allocate some time, something like 15 to 20 minutes, to develop something called an answer plan for each and every task. So once you do, you are spending some time to plan your answer. You'd be involved with critical thinking. You'd try to understand how theoretical concepts can be brought in, and how or how these theoretical concepts are utilized with the intention of ensuring you cover all the elements which are highlighted within the scenario which is thrown at you, as well as also focusing on what type of pre-seen information can be brought in within your answer. So do not type your answer straight away right after reading the scenario. Instead, spend some time to develop answer plans, because I'm not asking you to do it. It's actually the CIMA examiner who is requesting you to come up with well-structured answers. So if you are to achieve this, the best method to do this is by sticking to our answering technique. And as I've mentioned in the previous webinar, when developing answers, you are supposed to utilize paragraphs. So let's assume within your answer plan, there are 8 valid points. If that is the case, within your fully fledged answer, you need to have 8 different paragraphs. So although I tell you this, when I go through answer scripts, what I've seen is students, some students out there, when developing answers, they'd include all the answer points within one single paragraph. If that is the case, it makes the life of the invigilator extremely hard, because the invigilator will have to spend some additional time to pick and select the number of valid points included within the answer. which leads to an inefficiency, because when everything's together, when you have not developed a paragraph per answer point, instead if you have developed one single paragraph which consists of multiple answer points, then the invigilator will have to spend some time to understand the quality and the number of points which you have mentioned. So rather than exposing the invigilator for some type of towards some type of inefficiency, it's better to be in the good books of the invigilator. It's better to develop answers which are aligned with the requirements which are highlighted by your CIMA examiner. So listen to the CIMA examiner and try to fulfill these things. If you do, then you'd end up passing your exam comfortably. And whenever you are bringing out arguments, you have to justify it, especially pertaining to questions where you are supposed to provide suggestions or recommendations. So you simply cannot come up with a recommendation. Instead, you have to back it up with appropriate arguments. So when backing up your argument, your theoretical knowledge will come into play, as well as when backing up your argument, you can utilize the information taken from the pre-scene. So all these things can be learned if you refer to our master classes and refer to our answer plans developed based on the 5 mock exams. So all in all, if you are to develop good answers, first things first, you have to understand the requirement. So reiterate the requirement in your own words in a concise form, as I've mentioned earlier, and then spend some time for answer planning. So when you are planning your answer, try to cover all the points which are mentioned within the scenario. Try to bring in theoretical knowledge with the intention of providing a solution to something which the company is facing. And on top of that, try to make sure when you come up with your fully fledged answer, utilize paragraphs. So per answer point, you have to come up with a paragraph. And whenever you are bringing in some type of an argument, or when you're recommending something, you have to always back it up with appropriate justifications. Okay, so let's try to figure out what the examiner is asking us to do. Before the exam, you are supposed to study all areas of the syllabus. So, I've been telling this throughout the webinar series. I said that if you do not know the theoretical elements which are covered under E2, F2, and P2 syllabi, you are not in a position to pass your examination, because the examiner is adopting or adhering to a practical approach when testing your knowledge. So that's exactly why you have to study all areas of the syllabus, but there's absolutely nothing for you guys to worry in this area, because when developing our 5 mock exams, we have ensured that the all syllabi which falls under the E2, P2, and F2 syllabi, all these theoretical elements are covered. So you will not see any other or different types of theories being thrown at you, which you are not prepared for if you attempt all 5 mock exams. And on top of that, in order to make your lives easier, in order to increase the efficiency of your preparations, we have developed a set of master classes. And via these master classes, whilst explaining the logic of each and every answer, we are teaching you theory, as well as how these theories need to be utilized so that you come up with highly practical answers. So if you watch the master classes and refer to our answer plans, you'd fulfill this requirement. And when developing answers, your answers need to replicate the information which is provided in the scenario. So as I've mentioned earlier, the type of information which appears within your pre-seen document gives you an indication about the internal as well as external dynamics of your chosen company. But all this information gives you an indication about what the company has faced in the past. However, at your exam, present information will be provided, thereby highlighting certain issues the company is facing at the moment, or some type of opportunities the company is trying to pursue at the moment. So when developing your answers, it's all about application. Just because you as I've told you earlier, just because you come up with highly theoretical answers, you are not gonna get good marks. Instead, you need to utilize your theoretical knowledge and consider the information provided in the scenario when developing your answers. So, a majority of the points are allocated towards application. So if you had completed your OCS exams, if you're coming through the FLP or CIMA general route, there could be some of you who had completed your OCS exam, and the OCS exam tests your theoretical knowledge. So if you know your theory, you can easily pass the OCS exam, but that is not the case when it comes to MCS, especially given the fact that you are playing the role of a finance manager. So as a finance manager, you need to be conversant about theoretical elements, and you also need to know how to apply these theoretical elements, considering what the company is facing at the moment. And where before the exam, you are supposed to practice tasks. So this is where attempting mock exams come into play. So when attempting each mock exam, try to attempt it under exam conditions, because at the exam you would have to sit in one place and attempt the entire paper in one go. So you'd face a lot of stress, because you try doing something 3 hours at a stretch, it's not easy. And on top of it, you are exposed to exam stress as well. So you need to have an appropriate grasp about what these problems are, what type of issues you would be faced with. So it's better to get accustomed to these problems way before the exam, rather than facing them for the first time in your life at your real exam. So I'm not asking you to do this. It's actually the CIMA examiner, who is asking you to practice tasks. So when it comes to practicing, I do not want you to, practice mock exams on a task by task basis. Instead, just like in your exam, sit in one place and have a go at the entire mock exam, allocating 3 hours of your time. And when practicing mock exams, it's not about watching the master classes, because as I've mentioned earlier, we have developed a set of master classes where we are explaining the logic behind each answer whilst teaching you theory and application skills. However, just because you watch these videos, you cannot pass the exam, because what you learn via the master classes need to be applied or implemented in a practical sense, which will enable you to understand where you stand as a student. Just because you know something, you are not in a position to type it out. Believe it when I say this. Me, when I was a student, what I found out was, just because I knew theory, if I did not practice how to bring in this theory, considering the scenario presented at the exam, and how to manage my time appropriately, how to develop answer plans, and once I have an answer plan, how to type it out, thereby expanding the answer plan. All these things need to be practiced way before the exam. So you just have 3 weeks at your disposal. So you have to start attempting mock exams. If you are yet to start any, you have to start attempting mock exams right now. So you are supposed to type or write full answers. Not you're not supposed to attempt your mock exam on a task by task basis, or some students attempt certain parts of mock exams only. That is not recommended as well. Instead, you have to attempt the mock in its entirety, allocating 3 hours of your time. So if you had invested on the premium package, you will have access to the exam platform, which had been developed to be akin to the Pearson VUE system you'd utilize at your real exam. So it's better to attempt mock exams via our exam platform, which will be extremely beneficial for you at the real exam, so that you are in a position to manage your time properly, come up with well-structured answers, and if you do, you'd encounter a first-time pass. And during the exam, what are you supposed to do? Plan your answers. So that's exactly why I said, when attempting each of your mock exams, if you practice answering techniques on a mock exam by mock exam basis, there are 4 main tasks in each mock. So 4 tasks into 5 mock exam consists of a total of 20 tasks. So when attempting these 5 mock exams, you will be practicing answering and time management techniques 20 times over. That's enough practice for you to champion answering and time management techniques so that you can get it right at your real exam. So planning your answers, the examiner is telling, when I showed you what the examiner tells us about developing high quality answers. um, the examiner mentioned the fact that you have to develop answer plans or plan your answers. That's exactly what the examiner is telling us to do at the real exam as well. So if you are to come up with high quality answer plans, you need to practice it. So keep practicing the mock exams under exam conditions. This will help you champion these techniques. And the examiner is telling us that the marker is under strict instructions to mark answers on their merits. So the examiner picks quality over quantity. So in order to ensure that you come up with high quality answers, stick to our answering technique, because if you do, then you are in a position to determine how many answer points you need to cover under each subtask. Why? Because our answer planning technique is dependent on the weightages provided for each and every subtask. So based on the weightages, you are in a position to determine how many marks allocated. Based on the mark allocation, you are in a position to determine how many answer points need to appear within your answer plan. And when you know that, you will come up with answers which are not too long or too short. They will be the ideal length. So focus on getting these things right. If you missed out on the third webinar, please go check out the recorded version so that you get an in-depth understanding about what I'm talking about. Okay, so these are the things which you need to achieve. And if you listen to the examiner, and if you listen to what we have covered so far via our webinars, you can get these things right. Okay, then let's look at the marking criteria. Two markers will allocate marks before the final mark is finalized. This is done with the intention of achieving a high level of transparency when it comes to marking your papers. And both markers will allocate marks separately, and both these marks will be added together, and the average will determine your final mark. And mark allocations for each subtask appears as a percentage under each requirement, as I've mentioned earlier. So based on the mark allocations, if you develop your answers, then you'd gain extremely good marks at your exam. So watch the recorded version of the webinar answering technique to get your bearings about what this is about. And as I mentioned earlier, marks allocated based on merit. So the examiner picks quality over quantity. Just because you provide lengthy answers, you are not gonna pass the exam. Instead, you have to be considerate about the weightages provided. Based on that, determine how many marks allocated. Based on the mark allocations, you need to stipulate how many points need to appear within each of your answers. And when you understand this, it's extremely easy for you to achieve a first time pass. Okay, so it concludes the first part of our session. Before moving on to the second part, let me quickly remind you about what we offer at TCS. So if you're still to check out our free content, or if you had missed out on any of the webinars which we have conducted so far, as I've mentioned earlier, the recorded versions can be found via the paid and free content. So if you're yet to create a free account, click on this button, create a user account, which will give you access to the recorded version of the webinars, the mini mock, its suggested answer, as well as the answer plan of the mini mock. So the answer plan consists of the answering synopsis of the answering technique as well. So utilize these free content for your benefit. And if you are interested in purchasing our paid content, before you do, please check the sample material to get an understanding about the type of study material, mock exams, and videos which you are getting access to. All right, so let me talk about the 3 packages which we offer. So we are offering something called the Essentials Pack, which comes with the recorded version of the webinars which we have conducted so far. And it also comes with 5 mock exams with suggested answers. and the 4 pre-scene analysis videos. So this package is priced at £119. So if you are a student who is coming through the CIMA general route, and if you had aced your OTQ exams without failing any of your E2, P2 or F2 OTQ exams, then simply go for the essentials pack, because it appears that you are disciplined when it comes to preparations, and on top of that you are comfortable with 100% self-learning. So if that is the case, these are the only material which you need to have access to. Then talking about the value pack, it comes with what is covered under the essential pack. Additionally, you'd also get your hands on the annotated pre-scene, which helps you immensely to figure out what's covered within the pre-scene document. So I'll show you what our annotated pre-scene looks like. So as you can see, we have come up with annotations with the intention of bringing out the most important information, thereby developing a good summary. Because rather than going through pages and pages of information and complicating your life, it's extremely easy for you to understand if you read through the annotations which we have developed. And on top of that, via these or within these annotations, we have also highlighted probable exam scenarios which can be tested, and probable theoretical elements which are tested at your exam. So simply by reading these annotations, you are in a position to understand or gain an in-depth understanding about what's covered within the pre-scene document. And I hope you would have checked out our TikTok videos as well. I'll talk about it later on. So these TikTok videos developed with the intention of developing a mind map based on the pre-scene document. So if you go through this information on a daily basis, you are in a position to constantly keep reminding yourself about the most important points which are highlighted within the pre-scene, which is going to be extremely beneficial at your exam. Because as I've told you earlier, when developing your answers, you need to bring in relevant information from the pre-scene. In order to do it, you need to remember the points which are highlighted. So the best way to keep memorizing these points is to refer to our annotated pre-scene as well as the 3 TikTok videos which we have developed. So that comes with the value pack, and you'd also get your hands on the industry analysis and financial analysis cards. So the industry analysis cards gives you an overview, a good overview about your chosen industry. So if you go through this information, you can easily understand how the industry behaves, which is going to be extremely beneficial at your exam. Because if you are to play the role of a finance manager, you need to understand the nitty-gritties, or you need to gain an in-depth understanding about how the industry operates, or how different players are managing the industry. So all these things can be easily understood by referring to our industry analysis slides. And the same should be said about the financial analysis slides as well. You would have seen towards the end of your pre-scene document, financial statements of your chosen company as well as its closest competitor are provided. So rather than you evaluating these financial statements on your own, it's better to go through the evaluations which we have provided for each of the financial statements, and at the very end, ratio analysis is also conducted, thereby combining between your company and the closest competitor, so that you are in a position to easily grasp what happens within the company in a financial sense. And you'd also gain access to top 10 likely issues, which highlights the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real exam. You'd also gain access to a case study familiarization kit, which helps you to get technical knowledge about the MCS exam. And you'd also have access to a tutor managed live chat via our website. And you'd also gain access to theory recaps of OTQ syllabus content, which can be utilized to easily brush up your knowledge if you feel that there is a knowledge gap concerning the theoretical elements. So the value package comes at £199. So if you are a student who is coming through the CIMA general route, however, if you had struggled with your OTQ exams, if you had failed any of your OTQ exams, then you need some type of additional support. If that is the case, simply opt for the value pack. And the last package, which is the premium package, is developed for students who are coming through an exemption route, such as the Master's Gateway program or the FLP route, especially given the fact that most students coming through the exemption route lack theoretical knowledge. Because if you do not know theory, you cannot get application right, because if you are to come up with high quality answers or to come up with the best solutions concerning the company, concerning your company, then in such an environment you need to know your theory. So most students who are coming through the exemption route lack an appropriate knowledge about theoretical elements. So with the intention of covering these knowledge gaps, as well as with the intention of ensuring that you know how to improve your application skills, we have developed the premium package. And on top of that, if you failed your previous sitting, then it's prudent for you to opt for the premium package. So it comes with everything which is covered under the value pack. Additionally, you'd also gain access to the online mock exam platform or the learning management system. So when attempting each of your mock exams, as per what was highlighted in today's webinar in the first part, I said that the CIMA examiner is asking you to practice full mocks under exam conditions. So the best way to do this is to attempt each mock via our exam platform. And on top of that, I said the examiner actually says that you need to structure your answers appropriately. So if you are to structure your answers, you need to stick to our answering and time management techniques, and you need to keep practicing it to get it right. So the best way to do it is when attempting each of your mocks via our exam platform. And you will also gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback on mocks 3, 4, and 5. So this is the type of tutor feedback you'd receive. So every paragraph have been evaluated and shortcomings have been highlighted if there are any. And at the very end, mark allocations are provided on a subtask by subtask basis, so that you understand what your shortcomings are. And after you receive tutor feedback, once you attempt a mock via the exam platform, within 48 hours you will receive tutor feedback. So after you receive tutor feedback, you'd know the subtasks in which you have not done too good. If that is the case, you can rather than attempting the entire mock once more, you should focus on developing answer plans for the subtasks in which you have not scored good marks. So you are saving a lot of time. You are solely focused on areas in which you have not done really well. So you are primarily focused on focusing on your shortcomings when it comes to revision. So you're not supposed to allocate 3 hours again and attempt the entire mock, which is of no use, because you'd keep committing the same mistakes over and over again. Instead, stick to this smart approach, which is to understand the subtasks where you have not gained good marks. Focused on these subtasks, you have to redevelop answer plans, and once you do, you can easily compare your fresh answer plan to the answer plan which we provide, so that you are in a position to understand what your shortcomings are, and thereby being in a position to overcome each of these shortcomings in an extremely effective manner. And you'd also gain access to answer plans of all 5 mocks. You would have seen what an answer plan looks like if you attended the previous webinar. So rather than going through pages and pages of suggested answers, if you refer to the answer plan, you can easily understand the structure of the answer. And if you do, you can replicate a similar structure, or you can replicate a similar methodology when developing your answer plans. And if that is the case, you can come up with high quality answers. So you can easily learn theory when you go through these answer plans. And it's actually a summary, a study summary, or a mind map of each suggested answer. So you can easily remember as well as understand the logic behind each answer, how theoretical elements are brought in to the answer, and how these theoretical elements are applied, considering the information provided within the pre-seen document, as well as the information which appears within the scenario. And you'll also gain access to 20 master classes, because as I told you earlier, each mock exam consists of 4 tasks. So on a task by task basis, we have developed a set of master classes. And via these master classes, we will be taking you through the logic of the answer, whilst at the same time teaching you theory, as well as ensuring that you understand application skills. So, make use of these master classes. This is extremely beneficial, especially if you failed the exam in the previous sitting. And on top of that, this is beneficial for students who are coming through the exemption route, because most students coming through these exemption routes lack theoretical knowledge. There are huge knowledge gaps. So you can overcome all these problems simply by watching the master classes. And this comes with monthly installment plan. So you can pay in 2 monthly installments of £325, or else you can pay in full and save £50. So the price of the package will be £599 if you pay in full. And the premium package comes with a pass guarantee. So I'll tell you what this pass guarantee is about. So if you end up, investing on the premium package, yet if you fail the exam, you will gain access to the premium package once more in your subsequent sitting, free of charge. However, in order to claim your pass guarantee, you have to complete these 4 requirements. You need to complete all mock exams, because as I've told you earlier, we have developed the 5 mock exams covering all theoretical elements without getting accustomed to all theoretical elements and how these theoretical elements are tested at the exam. You have no chance of passing the examination. So if you are to make full utility of the mock exams and the material which we have provided, you have to complete all 5 mock exams. You cannot claim the pass guarantee without attempting all 5 mock exams. And your solutions need to be original as well. There's absolutely no point of copying what appears within the suggested answer and replicating it when attempting your each of your mock exams, because if you do, you are not being serious. You are simply cheating yourself. And if you cheat yourself when it comes to preparations, you will definitely fail the exam. Because take it from me, the MCS exam is not easy. The examiner is trying to figure out whether you are capable of playing the role of a finance manager. If you pass MCS, it's as if the examiner has agreed that you have the capabilities to manage the operations of the company or play the role of a finance manager. So in order to come into this position, or in order to gather the knowledge required to function as a finance manager, whenever attempting each of your mock exams, try to give your best shot. Do not look at suggested answers, or do not try to replicate suggested answers, because if you do, you're actually cheating yourself. And you are supposed to meet the performance criteria as well, especially pertinent to how the marks you gain for mocks 3, 4, and 5. So you need to get more than 40% for mocks 3, 4, and 5. Why we have come up with this performance criteria is mainly focused on ensuring that you are serious about your preparations. Because if you're not serious, you'll do a shoddy job when attempting each of your mock exams, because you think, okay, I'll just get things done when attempting this mock exam. I'll watch the master classes and get everything right. You can't do it. However much or however many master classes you watch, if you are not in a position to test or try implementing this knowledge or developing answer plans, sticking to a time plan, sticking to an exam technique, you are not in a position to pass the exam. So in order to ensure that you are serious, we have come up with this performance criteria, because if you are serious, it's easy. If you and if you keep on practicing our answering and time management techniques, you can easily gain more than 50 marks, even if you have knowledge gaps. However, when attempting a mock exam, if you get more than 40%, then that indicates that you are not serious about our answering technique, or you are not serious about an exam strategy. And after doing all these things, it's highly unlikely that you'd end up failing. However, if you still fail, simply click on this button and fill out the pass guarantee form, which will ensure that you are in a position to claim the pass guarantee. And you might be preparing for exams which are happening in February as well. So you can invest right now on your preferred package and start preparation so that you would have enough and more time at your disposal to overcome all your issues and ensure a first time pass at your exam. And let me quickly remind you about what you are supposed to do in the upcoming week. You are supposed to attempt mock number 3. Although students had invested on our packages, none of you guys have completed mock number 2 as yet. So it's time to get serious since you have only 3 weeks at your disposal. So try to, attempt at least 2 mocks within this week, because if you do, you'd be done with the 3rd mock, and in the upcoming weeks, you can attempt a mock per week. So do all the heavy lifting right now so that closer to the exam, you are in a relaxed mindset. And if you are relaxed, you'd gain extremely good marks. So from this week onwards, you will receive tutor feedback. So, start attempting mocks right now. And after attempting your mock, you are supposed to watch the 4 master classes. Thereby it's actually part of the revision activities which you are supposed to carry out. So after attempting the mock, when you watch the master classes, you will understand what your shortcomings are, you understand your knowledge gaps, and you learn theory as well as improve application skills. And once you gain personalized tutor feedback, you'd understand what your exact shortcomings are. And once you know your shortcomings, towards the weekend, you can focus on redeveloping answer plans focused on the subtasks in which where your marks are not too good. Okay, so these are the type of things which you're supposed to carry out within the upcoming week. Okay, then moving on to the second part of today's webinar. I'm going to highlight what you need to do to achieve a better or a higher level of confidence before the exam. So you have 3 weeks at your disposal. If you achieve a positive attitude, and if you start right now, it's not too late. If you start right now, and if you're positive about what you're supposed to do, you can easily, pass your exam. So stick to the study plan. So we covered a study plan within our first webinar. If you had stuck to the study plan, then congratulations, you are in the path to success. However, if you were not too successful in sticking to this study plan, or if you're about to start preparations right now, then you might need a fresh study plan. If you need a study plan, please reach out to us via the WhatsApp group. You can DM me or simply drop a message on the WhatsApp group. We'll help you with developing a study plan. And once we develop a study plan, please try to stick to it so that you fulfill all the requirements which will enable a first time pass at the exam. And stick to a routine, just at least in the upcoming 21 days or 3 weeks. So wake up and sleep at a predetermined time, and focus on getting your daily meal intake right at predetermined times as well. So if you eat on time, you will sleep and wake up on time. And if you sleep and wake up on time, it's extremely easy for you to have a positive attitude, and you are involved with MCS preparations, which is an added burden to what your routine life looks like, because you have to manage affairs at office, manage affairs at home, and on top of that, you have to be engaged with preparations which are focused on a tough exam. So it's extremely beneficial if you stick to a routine, because if you do, then you will be in a position to allocate the appropriate amount of time which is needed for preparations. So at least for the upcoming 3 weeks, get these things right, stick to a routine, try to be disciplined. If you do, you will reap the benefits once you receive the marks, or once you receive your results for the MCS exam. And when practicing mock exams, as I've mentioned earlier, and as per the requirements highlighted by the CIMA examiner, it's extremely important that you practice under simulated exam conditions. However much I tell you this, I've seen students committing the same mistake over and over again. Some students, what they do is they break up the 4 tasks into 4 different days. So rather than attempting all 4 tasks, which are covered within each mock exam, as there are students who would attempt task number 1 on Monday, task 2 on Tuesday, task 3 on Wednesday, and likewise. That is not the method which you'd encounter, or that's not the scenario which you'd encounter at your real exam. You have to sit in one place and keep attempting each and every task on a continuous basis for 3 hours. So if you are to get your answering time management techniques right, if you are to come up with high quality answers, if you are to be in a position to manage your exam stress properly, it's better to be accustomed to real life exam conditions way before the exam. So when practicing each mock exam, practice under simulated exam conditions. So the best way to do this is by using our mock exam platform. And when attempting mocks, do it in isolation, devoid of any disturbances. Because if there are any disturbances, you are not in a position to replicate real exam conditions. And stick to the exam technique which we have highlighted within the third webinar. So you have to allocate something like 5 minutes to read through the scenario, then allocate 15 to 20 minutes to develop the answer plan. And once you have done it, it's just a matter of expanding your answer plan. So utilizing 20 to 25 minutes, you can type out the fully fledged answer. So I do not want you guys to multitask when attempting each of your mock exams. Instead, stick to our process or the exam technique which we have highlighted. So whilst typing out your fully fledged answers, you are not supposed to plan or think. So that's exactly why we are asking you guys to allocate 15 to 20 minutes for planning. And once you have a plan at your disposal, it's extremely easy to expand the plan. So when you are expanding your answer plan, you're not thinking, instead you are typing. So do not try to multitask, because if you do, you will run out of time. You will come up with half-hearted answers. And if you run out of time, you provide incomplete answers. If you are providing incomplete answers, you are not fit to become a finance manager. Thus, you'd end up failing the exam. So do these things in the upcoming 3 weeks on a continuous basis. I know it's tough, but we have developed study material with the intention of ensuring that your responsibilities are kept to a minimum. If you invest on the premium package, your actual responsibility, the prime responsibility, is attempting a mock per week. Since you have just 3 weeks at your disposal, in this week, within this week, you have to attempt 2 mock exams, at least 2 mock exams. Okay. So you have to keep moving forward, attempt mocks. Everything else is handled by us. Because if you want to understand the logic of answers, if you want to learn theory and improve your application skills, simply refer to the answer plans and watch the master classes. So your real responsibility is attempting mock exams. Everything else is handled by us. So if you utilize our material and stick to these techniques which we have highlighted so far via the set of webinars which we have conducted, if you are serious about sticking to a routine, and if you attempt each mock exam under real exam conditions, whilst each time practicing answering and time management techniques, you are in a position to gain extremely good marks at your real exam. And in the upcoming 3 weeks, please avoid these deflections, because if you do, if you focus on these areas, you are going to waste a lot of time. Time is of essence, especially given the fact that you just have 3 weeks at your disposal. So, do not do these things in the upcoming 3 weeks. So do not focus on the exam blueprint, because I've considered all the main elements of the exam blueprint when developing this set of webinars. So we have covered all the elements which are highlighted within the exam blueprint. So don't waste your time trying to go through this document. And do not over rely on predictions as well. I've seen so many tutors out there coming up with predictions telling us about the type of questions which can be thrown at you. Because as I've told you earlier, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. So in a real life company, you can't predict the type of issues which will be thrown at you, because any type of a problem can pop up when running a business. Any type of opportunities can be thrown at you when functioning as a finance manager, or else there could be different types of problems faced by the company. So we are not in a position, if you are to function effectively as a finance manager, you cannot predict anything. Instead, you just walk into office, considering all the information provided to you, you try to come up with the best type of solutions or recommendations. So do not rely on predictions. If you do, you are wasting your time without gaining any benefit out of it. Then excessive industry analysis is a killer. Remember, you are playing the role of a finance manager. You are at the middle level of the organization. So you are not, although you are involved, up to a certain extent, although you are involved with long-term decision making, you are not a board member. If you are a board member, then you need to know or gain an in-depth understanding about industry dynamics, because board members, when arriving at decisions, they adhere to a methodology which is considered as an outside-in approach. So whenever the board member, a board member or the board arrives at a decision, they have to be considerate about how our decision is gonna affect different stakeholders, how it's gonna change the industry dynamics. So that's what an outside-in approach is about. However, you are not a board member. You are playing the role of a finance manager. You are involved with the tactical operations of the organization. So in such an environment, you need not have an in-depth understanding about industry dynamics. So simply, if you refer to our industry analysis slides, you would gain the most crucial information you need to function as a finance manager. Other than that, you need not be involved with your own industry analysis. So excessive industry analysis is a killer, and misguided use of past papers should be avoided at all costs, because I've seen most students who fail, end up failing because they do not invest on exam standard and pre-seen specific mock exams and study material. So I've seen students utilizing past exam variants or past papers. However, the problem is these past exam variants are based on different pre-seen documents, and the type of information highlighted in each pre-seen differs generally from each other. So if you refer to a past paper which is developed based on a different industry and a different company, different internal dynamics, then after you go through the suggested answers, you'd gain access to knowledge which is actually not relevant to your pre-scene or your company. So try to avoid this. If you still believe that you can pass by referring to the past papers, you are welcome to stick to your own process. However, this does not work in real life, so that needs to be avoided, because rather than spending a lot of time trying to go through different pre-seen documents, past pre-seen documents, and based on it trying to figure out the type of answers provided, the logic behind each answer, you would be wasting a lot of time. So try not to do it. And information overload is a killer, because even I myself, as a student, have experienced this. When you are closer to the exam, even if you had stuck to our study plan, even if you had attempted all 5 mock exams, even after watching the master classes, you'd still feel that you need to do something extra. So you'd start referring to your study texts, your study notes and whatnot. That is totally unnecessary. If you stick to our study plan, if you attempt the 5 mock exams, which is the real responsibility which you carry, and if you refer to the study material which we have provided, then that's what's necessary. If that is the case, you have done your homework. You need not focus on gaining additional knowledge. because if you do, it leads to information overload, and on top of that, it leads to negative mindset. If you are negative, then you can't function properly as a finance manager. So try to avoid all these things when utilizing your limited time in the upcoming 3 weeks. Okay, and you might attempt your exam at home. If that is the case, please visit this link and get your bearings with the Pearson VUE system, and do not do this a day before the exam. Right after you book the exam, get your bearings so pertaining to the technicalities behind the Pearson VUE system, so that you know what type of a platform you are dealing with at your real exam. Okay, so we are proud to announce that we achieved an 89% pass rate for the August 2023 session. And the student who is from, South Africa, just started preparations 10 days before the exam. So if you are worrying about not having enough time for preparations, if you are worrying about, about what to do in the upcoming 3 weeks, there's absolutely no point of worrying, because this student actually started preparations 10 days before the exam and ended up passing the MCS exam in the first sitting itself. And the best part is the student came through the FLP route. She had no clue about OTQ syllabus content covered under E2, P2, and F2 syllabi. Instead, she just attempted 5 mock exams within 10 days. We actually developed a personalized study plan focused on 10 days. So she just, practiced 5 mocks within 10 days, and, watched the master classes within 10 days, and redeveloped answer plans for the subtasks in which she had not done a good job, and ended up passing the exam. So if this student, whilst doing a job, coming through the exemption route within 10 days, if this student utilized all our material and ended up passing in the first sitting itself, and this was a first CIMA examination. So if she can achieve it, why can't you get everything done within 3 weeks? So if you want a fresh study plan which is focused on 3 weeks, please get in touch with us. We are, extremely happy to help you guys out. Okay, and let me remind you about the £50 discount offered on the MCS premium package. So if you are ready to pay in full, you can save £50. All right, any questions, folks? So Abigail is asking a question. When will mock 3, 4, and 5 or the respective master classes be uploaded? Yeah, so we are already done with 2 mock exams. So the third mock exam will be up tomorrow, along with the suggested answer and the master classes. So you can start attempting them. Abigail, I do not know whether you have attempted mocks 1 or 2 as yet. If not, try to attempt these 2 mocks as soon as possible. And when attempting each of these mocks, keep practicing our answering and time management techniques, so that you are in a position to master it by the time you are at mock number 3. I have fallen a bit behind still to attempt mock number 2. That's totally fine. You have to be happy that you have attempted mock number 1 as at now. So you just have 4 more to go. I hope you would have watched the master classes of mock number 1. So you have 4 mocks to go. So in the upcoming week, try to attempt mocks 2 and 3 before the Q&A session, so that you are in a position to make full utility of the Q&A session which we are conducting. And by the end of this week, if you are done with 3 mocks, in the remaining 2 weeks, you can attempt a mock per week, which is going to be extremely beneficial for your psychological health. You won't be under exam stress because it's just a matter of attempting a mock per week. So try to attempt 2 mocks within this week. All right, superb, Abigail. Happy to hear that you have watched the master classes for mock number 1. So BI is saying I'm behind 2. I have to attempt mock 2, but master classes for mock 2 is not uploaded. Yeah, we faced a technical issue. We have already done the master classes, so I'm trying to get it sorted by the end of the day. So the master classes for mock 2 will be up. So yeah, I want you to attempt mock 2 if as soon as possible, so that you are in a position to attempt mock 3 quickly within this week before Friday as well. Okay. Tasneem, I'll try to save your email address. You are asking for a study plan. If I lose your email address, I hope you are part and parcel of our WhatsApp group. Simply drop a message so that I can get in touch with you. I'll call you over WhatsApp to get an understanding about how much time you can allocate for studies on a weekly basis, and based on it, I'll develop a study plan for you. Any other questions, folks? I actually forgot to pause the recording. All right. Thank you very much, folks, for those questions. Last question. Okay, there's another one. How can we read the pre-scene material in 45 minutes where the time is so limited? Pre-scene material. You're not supposed to read through the pre-scene. I hope you are mentioning about each scenario highlighted under each and every task. If you are referring to the scenarios, you are just supposed to allocate something like 5 minutes to read through the scenario quickly. So it depends on how fast you can read the set of information provided. So if your reading speed is not up to par, the only way to improve it is by practicing reading. So you have to, in the upcoming 3 weeks, if your reading speed is not up to the required level of standard, you have to on top of preparing for the MCS exam, you have to focus on this area as well. And since you have mentioned about 45 minutes, I hope you are talking about the answering technique. So let me remind you about what I've mentioned in the third webinar and today's webinar as well. So allocate 5 minutes to read through the entire scenario. Then allocate something like 15 to 20 minutes to develop the answer plan. So 5 minutes for reading, 15 to 20 minutes for the answer plan. So let's assume you allocated 20 minutes. So altogether, you have already allocated 25 minutes. So you have 20 minutes at your disposal, which needs to be allocated towards expanding the answer plan, thereby typing the answer plan. So 5 minutes for reading, 20 minutes for answer planning, and 20 minutes for expanding the answer plan. That should be your plan. If I'm decoding your question correctly, you are referring to the Cuppcar pre-scene. It's best to immerse and familiarize yourself with the pre-scene before the exam. Yeah, that's exactly right, Abigail. So go through the, I hope, Sobia, I hope you would have watched the 4 pre-scene analysis videos, and keep watching the TikTok videos. It's up on our TikTok handle. So keep watching them so that you keep reminding yourself about the most important points highlighted within the pre-scene without having to refer to the pre-scene document when attempting your exam. Because if you do, you would be wasting a lot of time. So it's better to get your bearings with the pre-scene document. So it's actually easy. Refer to our annotated pre-scene, refer to the 4 pre-scene analysis videos which we have developed, and refer to the TikTok videos on a daily basis. Any other questions? All right, superb. Okay, if you still have questions, you can type it out on the chat section, until you do it, let me bring this session to a conclusion. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com, or drop us an email via info@study@tcs.com, or drop us a message or call us on our WhatsApp number, which is 7898464196. All right, so follow us on our social media handles, especially our TikTok handle, because this is where you can find the pre-scene mind maps. So within something like 6 to 9 minutes, you can easily get your bearings about the most important points which are highlighted within your pre-seen document. So you're welcome, Tasneem. So having said that, it brings us to the end of the fourth webinar. So I hope you would have gained something out of the 4 webinars which we have conducted. If you missed out on any, especially the pre-seen analysis webinar, the second one, and the answering technique webinar, which was the third one, please go check them out via our student platform, via our website, so that you get your bearings with the technical nitty-gritties which we have highlighted. So I hope you'd stick to our study plan and get at least 2 mocks done if you are to attempt any mocks as at now, because you just have 3 weeks at your disposal. So within 3 weeks, you have to attempt 5 mock exams. So it's best to, get done with at least 2 mock exams by the end of this week before the Q&A session. So thank you very much for joining in. I will see you guys on Friday. Thank you and take care.